What is going on, everybody? Thank y'all all for coming through, listening to me talk and, just supporting me. And hopefully all y'all safe, y'all chilling, and y'all wearing y'all mask. Like, for real, wear y'all mask. So, as you can see from today's title, I want to cover Gogeta's Blockstrings. So, before I even get into, what he can do or what, I think you should do with him, I just want to say this is all from personal experience of me playing with Gogeta since he first came out. And, my word ain't law. Nobody's word is law on earth. And, just because I say it don't mean it's concrete. Maybe it's something y'all have that might, help suit you better, things like that. So, I'm not just automatically right, because I've been playing Gogeta, for the longest. It might be certain things that I don't value as much compared to what y'all value, and it could actually work for me. Same way it could work for you, vice versa. So basically the moral of the story is, this is basically just from my experience of what I think works for the character and could help y'all, and I hope it helps kind of steer y'all in the right direction on what to do if you pick them up, or if you already pick them up and you don't know kind of where to start with them. All right, so enough of that. Let's get into let's rewind again. All right, so one thing I want to add as well is that Gogeta is pretty unconventional in my opinion. So he kind of unorthodox. He not really by the book, like some other characters are in this game. And I feel like that kind of, in my experience, in my opinion, helps him to kind of get his pressure across and his staggers and things like that. So maybe you might agree, you might disagree, depending on kind of how I sway you in the video. So let's get into it. So his regular block strings, like if you just got somebody in in a pressure situation, you always end it with his Rekka. If you ever end Gogeta's pressure before the final hit, he is always -8. So for some of you, you might be wondering, being -8, what does that mean? So -8, he is extremely punishable. Extremely. No matter what I do. You see I'm holding back already trying to block. You can hit me out of it. So realistically, if you just didn't take human error into it, Gogeta should never, stop his pressure with Rekka before the final hit. But I say we all human, so we got human errors and all that, so I'll go into the Rekka pressure a little bit later. So yeah, you always have to finish, all the Rekka hits, and that's mainly what your block strings will be like. That's what it mainly consists of. Oh, I messed that all up, but yeah, if you ever wanna, you can do EX Rekka as well. And if you have a full screen, 5S into EX Rekka, that jails. So, you can get, it helps you get in easier. That way, because Gogeta kind of struggles in neutral, so that kind of helps him get in that this is a true block string. And, of course, the clones. You can use the clones. It auto follow-ups for you, like soon as it connects. And then if the opponent is jumping, each clone, when I say it, it hits, the follow-up comes out, so you are fine. And then another thing is, if you had a meter, you can do just 5S into Vanish. It jails. Now, of course, you know, the opponent, if they mash and vanish, you know, they can still get out, but you can get in that way. Same goes for the clones. You can get in like that. So that's something to keep in mind. And those are mainly the block strings that you'll primarily see with Gogeta, and those are the ones that I personally use too. I don't really use no other ones. It could be other ways to go about it, but those are the ones that I use. So his staggers are, you know, what's this? I always get them mixed up. 5L. So 5L is only -3. So he not really, you know, punishable like that compared to the -8 that I was mentioning earlier. But you know, 5L is his main stagger tool. 2L is pretty good if you want to, you know, end a block string and just, you know, do this and then, you know, stagger again, you know, and start over and go back into 2L. 5M is not that bad. Like, even though it says -8, like I say, human element. You take in human elements, human error, you know. 5M, he recovers, I say, is quick enough, you know, compared to like if he tried to do this, and then you see how long it's taking me, you know, to get out this animation to actually, you know, mash my square right now. But compared to just 5M, you see the difference, how long it's taking me. So his staggers, you know, I say are pretty solid as well. And I always had this belief that since Gogeta buttons are slow for the most part, it makes it easier, you know, to kind of stagger his buttons, because the opponent is, you know, his buttons are slow anyway. So you staggering things, it won't come across like, I'm trying to think of a better way to phrase it. It won't come off as like you actually stopped your string. It'll kind of just confuse them, you know, because they'll probably think you still going just because of how slow his buttons are. So they already anticipating another button just because of how slow he is. I think I explained that right. Hopefully y'all get the point. So his staggers, I say, are, you know, are pretty good. And good thing is too is that his 2L is now safe against guard cancels. That wasn't the case last season, but now it is. So, you know, he can reliably, you know, punish the opponent, things like that. That's the only move that he has that's safe, you know, against the guard cancel, or normal, I should say. But the other normals, he'll just have to cancel into 2H or DP, things like that. But I'd say for the most part, his staggers are pretty solid and pretty reliable. So his record pressure, that's what I want to get into. His record pressure, I feel, is I wish his record pressure was like Blue Vegeta. I am like so jealous of y'all Blue Vegeta mains, because y'all record pressure is like ridiculous. So as I was saying earlier, his records, you know, is -8. So he gets hit out of, you know, all this. Long as, you know, he has to finish it. So if you take human error into it, which is what I do, you can actually, I'll even put it back on. So you can actually delay the records to actually, like, alright, so you see that's a true block string. Now I can delay the light record here. It's so hard to, well, it ain't hard, but just take time. See, like that. So you can delay, you know, EX record, or you can just delay it into another record. You see? There we go. That's how it should look. So, you know, if the opponent decide, oh, he want to mash or something afterwards. So you can always just delay the first hit. And then, you know, go into the EX record afterwards. So another thing is his medium records. If you wanted to, so his medium records are mainly for like if you wanted to, if the opponent might be scared of command grab and they expecting, you know, they trying to jump or they mash and vanish. Medium record actually, let me see, it's probably in the corner. Yeah, there we go. So in the corner, if the opponent is like mashing, you can just do medium record. Yeah, so it's in the corner. Or like in the case you can do, you know, light record and then stop it. Well, not even stop it, but change it. You can change it to, you know, medium record, and then it'll basically frame trap instead of being a true block string, and then it'll hit the opponent if they, you know, mashing or things like that. Same goes for if they mashing square. You could just switch to medium record, mid, you know, mid little record combination, and then it'll catch them pressing buttons. So you can do records like this, like you can do just light, then medium, or, you know, medium, light, medium, things like that. You can always kind of mix it up to kind of just throw off the opponent from, like, you know, mashing or things like that. But my personal favorite one is definitely, you know, just mixing in this. Let me see, can I do it? Now I'm getting it wrong. There we go. That's one of my more favorite ones, like record wise. But the thing is, a lot of people, you know, and another thing to take into account, you know, like look at this for example. That's -24. It looks negative. But, you know, this move being -8. See how quick I'm already, you know, back in my idle state. Like, even though he -8, he can immediately just like press afterwards. So if the opponent even waits like half a second maybe, and they kind of sleep at the wheel, as they say, the opponent, you know, the Gogeta player can continue pressure. So that's, you know, a lot of people might be split down the middle about the record pressure, but, you know, I like it, you know, and it helps to kind of aid me in pressure sometimes. And it really helps too when you do it at certain spots. Like you know, like if, for example, I'm gonna have the computer. No, I ain't got the computer do nothing. All right. So you see, I don't have no assists. This is the time when the player would know the only thing I can do to even finish safely or even try to steal my turn is to do an unsafe record. So of course they're gonna be mashing. So the key is to kind of sneak in stuff like this when you already have an assist behind you, so that way the opponent, because the opponent is already expecting an assist to come out, so you can kind of sneak in turns like this. So just keep that in mind. It's more so about kind of where, you know, when you use that kind of pressure. And the same goes for command grab. The opponent won't be expecting command grab if you already got your assist, because, you know, that's kind of the go-to thing when you got a command grab character and they don't have no assist. The only thing they really can do is go into command grab 9 times out of 10. Not always, but, you know, most of the time. So you mix in things like that when you have an assist to kind of throw off the opponent, you know, what the opponent is looking for. So with that out the way, I want to get into delaying his strings. So delaying Gogeta strings, you know, Gogeta buttons are already slow, so it makes it easier to kind of delay his strings because the opponent really won't know when to really try to challenge or contest because all his buttons is slow. So it don't necessarily look out of place when you starting to delay your strings. So a good example would be his 5LL. So you know his 5LL, it got the little overhead like Goku Blue. So you can delay it like this and then just go low. So the opponent could easily, you know, 2H this, right? As you can see, he can easily 2H it. So that's when you can start doing things like this. You know, delay a string to 2M. Or if the opponent is just mash and vanish, which people often do. As you can see, if you just do a full string through, you know, the opponent can't vanish until after you finish, but you can delay it a bit just to clip them if they mashing in between. So if you think about it, just look at it kind of looks like I'm doing the same thing. That's why I say Gogeta buttons, I used to always say Gogeta buttons being so slow, it kind of helps his pressure in my opinion, because it, you know, it don't, you know, the way I'm trying to think, phrase it in my head is like the opponent, like take for instance a fast character. If a fast character start delaying their strings, you will know something is up. Because the character is normally fast. Now you see he just slowing down, all of a sudden delaying his strings. But with a character like Gogeta, with his buttons relatively, you know, slow looking, it don't really look out of place that he delaying his strings. And that's when the opponent really don't know what to do. So, you know, like I say again, this helps me, you know, to play Gogeta the way I do, because I take all this stuff into account. So the next thing is, I guess I could say his command grab pressure here. So after Gogeta does command grab, he is +5 here. So last season this was kind of bad because it was, if the opponent used, basically putting yourself in a guess situation, because if the opponent reflected, you remember how it was, if the opponent reflected your 5L, you basically was dead. But now that they, you know, the 5L buff got, the 5L reflect got buff, now he can more reliably, you know, do, you know, continue his pressure afterwards. So this is how it looks now if the opponent tries to reflect, for those that don't know. Pushes him back basically full screen. But he can still kind of keep his way in with doing things like that. But what makes this command grab so good, in my opinion, you know, obviously, you know, of course he can do it full screen. So him being +5, he can just, you know, reliably continue pressure afterwards. And if the opponent were to try to, let me see, backdash, people often do that too, Gogeta stops that as well. So take that into account whenever you know, do command grab, that, you know, and the thing is, it makes the opponent so uncomfortable too, just being in this situation, because from there you could just go in a dragon rush, go into another command grab, it's like a lot of mind games behind that. So I think that's it for the command grab. And it was one thing I forgot to mention is that Gogeta's 5S got buffed. So now you're just doing a regular block string. You can do and end it in 5S. It frame traps and it beats vanish, the opponent trying to press a button. If the opponent trying to jump out for whatever reason, it beats all that. So his 5S was always good because his 5S always was a true block string into super dash. So if the opponent decides to just respect everything, you can just sneak in a 5S to super dash and it's all true. And you know, of course, now he gets the super dash mix because of that. So I just wanted to make note of that. I forgot to mention it earlier. Gogeta also has alright, sparking pressure as well. So for instance, if he did sparking here, so I got the CPU set to vanish. Let me put it on permanent. So that's a true block string now. Now if you air dash, then it'll be frame trap. But if you just did 5S, then it's a not a frame trap, but a true block string. There we go. And this also beats 2H as well. It's kind of hard to do, so you gotta set it up. Definitely did not mean to do that. So if you even wait like half a second, like at least it's still safe versus 2H, but as soon as you vanish, you gotta immediately just go into JM. So as you can see there, that's a true block string. And if he did clones, okay, so probably not the follow-up part. Same thing. Beats the 2H, frame traps, things like that. And then of course, since 5S is a beam, well not a beam, but since it's a considered a key blast, you can, you know, cancel out of it. If the opponent decides to block, you can always just 5S into air dash. Y'all might have not noticed, but I haven't been using his 2S like that. I don't really like his 2S because there's not really no use for it besides combos, in my opinion. They didn't really fix 2S. As you can see, you can still vanish the 2S. I think I'm using the right term. I think this 2S here. If it's not 2S, I stick to just saying Gallic Gun. This Gallic Gun, you know, you have to still vanish. So that's why I haven't really been using it, because I don't really feel like it's worth anything besides just like one meaty situation and combos. So for the most part, you will always be using 5S. So yeah, whenever you, and this is how it looks if the opponent decides to respect a block string with, you know, beam in it. So, you know, I think that is it. You know, and like I say, this is what I use and my kind of philosophy and thought process behind how I play Gogeta. So hopefully I wasn't rambling on too long and I got some good points out, but I hope this kind of helps steer y'all in the, you know, the right direction about kind of how to play Gogeta and kind of what to look out for when you're using them. So I think I'll let y'all go now. I think I done held y'all up long enough. So thank y'all for listening to me and watching the video, you know, all the way to the end. And y'all have a blessed day. Y'all stay safe and peace out, and see y'all next time.